Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. My name is Raheen Aljamain, and you can be a part of this conversation. I'd love to have you. All you have to do is give us a call at 508 924 3521 508 924 3521. Give us a call. We love to have your input. How's your weekend, man? What did y'all do over the weekend? I had a pretty good weekend. I had a chance to hang out a little bit, do some things, take care of some things, and it was very nice. I see some people already coming in and joining us, man. We definitely are hyena happy, elephant elated, and porcupine proud to have each and every one of you. We're going to talk about a couple of things to talk about this morning. One thing that stays on me, man, and I try to shake it, I try to get away from it, man, but it becomes very difficult when I see it happening over and over and over again. And this time, let me ask you a question. If a young person is in the mall, now this happened here in the Atlanta area. If a young person in the mall, 14, 15 years old, if he is in the mall, a crowded mall, it gets to Christmas time, the mall is very great, very crowded right now. If this young person is in the mall, a crowded mall, and fires off a gun, and mistakenly, let me make sure I make that clear. Mistakenly fire off a gun inside the mall. Um, the gun shoots him in the leg. He have to go to the ambulance. The doctors come. Well, the ambulance come and take him to the doctors. He's treated, but he's shot in the leg. Shot himself in the leg. 14, 15 years old, mind you. Should he be charged? Should he be charged? Because what's happening right now? Good morning, Rico. How you doing this morning, sir?
Man, I can't complain, man. I had to go ahead and call in. I've been walking for a while, so I had to go ahead and call in before my battery get a little too low.
Oh, okay. I appreciate you, man. We talking about this. How was your weekend, brother?
Man, it was great. I'm still here. You know how I am, man. I'm always grateful to see another beautiful new day. So, you know
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? I saw two of them, and I'm working on another one coming out the weekend. So it's always great.
Good deal. Good deal. We're talking about something I heard on the news this morning, man. It was a 14, 15-year-old young boy, teenager, inside the mall, one of the busy malls here. And you know how busy the malls are. Christmas time, and the malls are crazy right now. And so there's a lot of people in the mall. He had a gun, and mistakenly, he fired the gun. The gun went off. Ow. Only one hit himself in the leg. Ambulance came, took him to the doctor, treated him, and they're trying to decide now whether he should be charged with a crime. Rico, what do you say should happen in that situation? Should he be
I
charged?
don't say nothing. Let it play out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let it play out. I mean, sometimes we just can't have an opinion about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let it play out and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine if it was an accident, they're probably just gonna, try to find out why he had a gun at that age.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if anything, that should be the issue of finding out how he even had a gun. But if it was an accident, it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, do anything you would to any other child.
Mm-hmm.
Reprimand them and put some type of punishment on them or whatever. I mean, but the bigger issue is, not whether or not they're going to prosecute him for doing something accidentally, but, you know, I've mentioned this dozens of times before and it gets glossed over. So now it's in the news, we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see videos all day long of these boys flashing guns.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was like a couple of weeks ago, I told y'all about the 14-year-old boy that killed the two women. Now, look, he didn't do it accidentally, but he had a gun. Wasn't nothing
Mm-hmm.
to talk about then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now we want to talk about, are they going to do something about it accidentally? Should he be prosecuted? Man, that's small.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger issue is why these kids keep having these guns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the little boy that got killed last week, he was with a group of boys that killed another boy
Mm-hmm.
that's the same age and had the same name as my son, Cameron Jackson, 15.
Wow.
He was the one they targeted, the little 12-year-old. He was with the wrong group of boys.
Mm-hmm.
He caught a stray bullet from one of his friends, and
Wow.
they left him out there.
And see, and that's how I started
So the
off.
woman that was up there, the woman that was crying about the up in front of the city council, her son was shot by his own friend.
Yeah. And see, and that's why I started off this morning, because I say I want to get away from this topic. I wish I could get away with it, but I can't, because the young people continuously have these weapons and continuously are shooting each other. They're trying to say that but they're trying to naturally, because he's a young black boy of that age. They're trying to tie him into a gang. See, you know, this all this stuff is gang related, and it's because of the gangs and stuff like that. And they try to automatically. They don't even, truth of the matter, they don't even know whether he was in a gang or not. They don't know. They only know, and like you said, to your credit, they don't know why he had the gun, where the gun came from. And so they're doing all these investigations. And the newscasters here was saying that he should be charged, because at that age he shouldn't have a gun, and you have to make an example out of him so the other kids will know not to carry a gun and not to have a gun. So they want to make an example out of him. But is that the right approach to take?
Yeah, I mean, he got to be held accountable for having a weapon. And I mean, I think it might be. I mean, I don't know if it's still the same. Because it might be unlawful to have a weapon in there, but it's illegal and unlawful for him to have a weapon, especially if it's not registered. So I mean, you know, he has to be charged, but prosecuted as a minor.
Yeah.
Because it happens. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whether you know it or not, 4 and 5-year-olds get their parents' guns sometime and do something bad. Because they thought it was a play gun. My brother almost shot me one time because he thought my mom's little 38 was the same as the little cap gun 38 that I had. It was the same color. He was like 2 years old.
Wow.
I was begging and crying. Put it down, that's a real gun, mama.
Wow.
He was pointing at me. Shoot, Rico.
Not knowing.
So I mean, you know, that happens. The thing is how are these young men? I mean, they could come and say gangs this and gangs that. To me, that's still something for you to speculate on. But the biggest issue is how are 14 and 12 and 15, 8-year-old boys getting Glocks with the accessories, bumper stocks. I mean, they aren't made anymore. Some of these boys got rifle pistols. You know what I'm saying? That's the question. How are they getting these guns?
But somebody, from what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, somebody has to be held accountable for that whole incident of him having a gun and firing it off in the mall like that. Somebody have to be held accountable.
For him even to get the gun. I mean, listen, if the guns weren't so available, then they have to use sticks and stones. If they really wanted to act a fool, or they'd have to use a fist if they had a problem with somebody. But guns are too readily available. I couldn't get a gun. I mean, listen, I could send you videos all day long of 13 and 14-year-old children up in basketball gyms while everybody else shooting basketball. Everybody got guns, and then some of these boys got book bags with more pistols. You know, and you see it in the rap videos.
Yeah, all day.
You see it on TV all the time. Everybody want to be like John Wick, and you know they want to be like Matt Bourne. You know, they want to be these action heroes. You know, it's exciting, and it gets you a lot of dopamine, adrenaline going to see that type of excitement going on. That sensationalism, all the sirens, and man, I've seen people do things and go back and look at their work, but you know, making guns so available like this. It's terrible, man. I mean, that to me, like I said, that's the biggest question.
Rico,
how are these children getting these guns? Every time I see it, I wonder to myself, how are they getting these guns?
Well, Rico, let me ask you this question, brother, and I know you got you know a piece or a part of this, or if not the whole holistically. How did we get here to the point where you know all the guns are so readily available and all the young people? Because back when we was coming up, man, we didn't have access to no guns and stuff like that, man. We didn't have all this stuff. So how did we get here?
It has to be intentional. I mean, you know, this is the thing about it. In this thing we call life, we have to remember that we were young once upon a time too, and that was just some things that was pretty much impossible or extremely hard to get to. Some things you just didn't really have the capability of doing. You know, it was really hard to go out and have sex at a age. you know, if you didn't have a car, didn't have too many freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
But the more freedom you got, the more you found ways to be able to do some of the things that you didn't want your parents to know that you were doing. And so now somebody has made it more available for the youth to have access to things that they shouldn't have access to. You know, and it started at a young age. I mean, if you wouldn't, I say if a child wasn't attracted to the activity of using a gun from video games, then it wouldn't even be have a desire as they get older to want to experience it in real life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a child sees other children running around and walking, they have an ambition to get up and run and walk soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, if this is what is being put into the atmosphere, as far as entertainment, this aggression and this violence, sooner or later, and it seems exciting and it sales, I mean, because we get an overabundance of it, you know, people might start wanting that in their real lives because they don't have that same excitement. They don't have that same adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that climax. You ever notice when soap operas came out, how after the soap operas went off, women would call each other and have a group discussion about everything that went on all the soap operas, and then it seemed like they would have a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
And they would, after a while, I started seeing them start putting those same scenarios in real life situations. I'm like, wait a minute, they need this excitement. I noticed it at a young age. I said, this excitement, man, they brainwashing people. And so I think we're in a society of brainwashed people that really glorifies that violence. It's exciting to a lot of people, and it's sales.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And you said something in what you were saying. You said it's the freedoms, and we have so many freedoms now. Is that having that much freedom, is that pretty much to our detriment as well? Can it be?
Yeah, when you don't have any censorship or I'm gonna say oversight, you know. But then if you have oversight, people will start saying, "Well, really, how much freedom do you have?"
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it goes back to Larry Flint and the hustler situation. You know, he felt like, you know, hey, I could label this porn as art. And this is the type of art that if people want it, why shouldn't they have access to it? So, I mean, you know, what's acceptable? You know, along with these freedoms, what's acceptable? Along with having access to the Second Amendment, you know, whether you draw the line as far as access, you know, manufacturing and keeping up with where these guns are going, because we know the damage they can do. So you should have to be able to keep up with where your product is going.
Now, there's someone that's on LinkedIn that's watching us from LinkedIn. They said that adults gave it to them, and then they say and the men of the community is how all the guns. They're saying that it's the men of the community. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, the wrong men get access to them and pass them out. You know, they make them accessible to young boys. I mean, I have never bought a gun legally in my life. But even at a young age, it was still hard to do it because I don't think I could have found somebody that was an adult that would have sold me an AK-47 at 14 years old, or a Glock 9mm or 45. I don't think, you know, Glock 17. I don't think anybody would have sold me one at 13 or 14. But now people will sell you one. But oh man, it's still a question you have to ask of, you know, how do they get access to so many?
Yeah. But you know, and like they say, Rico, and we got Toya with the T with us as well. I'm gonna go to her. But like they say, man, on the street, man, you could get whatever you want on the street these days, man. If you want it, there's somebody out there that's gonna provide it for you because they want that money. And it goes back to that dollar bill, brother. If you got the money, they'll give you what you need, regardless of how old you are.
And I guess if you overproduce it, it gets to a point where you need to sell it regardless of where it goes to. You just need to get it sold.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it goes. They want the money. They looking for the money, man, and the money is the most important thing. And somebody said in the schools, yeah, they're definitely in the schools as well. And that's unfortunate because now kids can't go to school and just learn like they want to learn, like we used to learn. They have to worry about, you know, who, and the kids know who got the guns. They know, but the teachers don't know. The principals don't know. But the students, a lot of time, they know. You know, if you run into the right one, you ask, yo, who got the guns in the school? They'll tell you. Some of them will. Majority of them, they too scared to say anything, man, because they're afraid they're gonna get shot. Toy, you with a T. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, good morning. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Since we're talking about, there was a young boy, and you probably heard the story this morning. It was on the news about the young boy, 14, 15 years old. I can't remember exactly how old he was. I think it might have been 15. He was in the mall this time of the year, as crowded as it is, and he dislodged his weapon. He had a gun on him. He dislodged it, but it shot him in the leg. They took him to the ambulance came, took him to the hospital, and now they're trying to decide whether they're going to press charges on him or not, because of the fact that he had a gun and shot the gun inside the mall, only hit himself. But they're trying to say it's gang related. He's in all these gangs, all kind of stuff they're trying to say right now. But Toya, what do you think should happen in this situation? Should he be charged, or where are we right now with the young people walking around with all these guns?
I mean, so being from Brooklyn, in the 70s, baby, they had them in the 80s, and they would sell them to you in the 80s, and they would have sold them to you in the 90s too. I was there, was witness for it. Don't know how far south it came. So wickedness always been around.
Yeah.
Right. But I think this is the problem, right? Because when you don't fear your parents, you're not gonna fear nothing to nobody else. And that's where we are, right? My nieces and nephews, we having problems, right? Because you ain't gotta worry about the police. You won't come up missing. I'm gonna make sure that, and I'm gonna go to jail because I done made you come up missing because you're out here clowning. See, we've lost that structure in the household. If you don't respect the person that clothed you or feed you, you ain't gonna care about nothing else. And that's why we getting guns, we going to the mall, we dislodging them. And yeah, he need to go ahead and catch that time.
Mm-hmm.
He need to go ahead and get that. But me and Rico was talking, I think it was last week, might have been the week before, and he came up with a very valid solution for some. Not all, there's going to have to be requirements, but for some of these parents, if for some parents that have shown neglect toward their kids, you need to go to jail too.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us that we can sit back and trace and figure out that, okay, you haven't been making sure that you sought any kind of therapy, any kind of educational issues, if they've been happening in the school, you haven't been coming up to school, there's been no response, and it's a sign of neglect. The parents need to go too, because all of these are not just good kids who, just turn bad. No, some of this is a culture, and that culture needs to be broken, right? So guns are always going to be everywhere. And when white people make guns and drop them off in our neighborhoods, they are going to sell it to a 14-year-old black boy, a 12-year-old black boy, a 9-year-old black boy.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is not about selling. They're going to make sure you have it for free because it's an agenda. That's what you do. You arm your army with artillery.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. If they do it in Africa, they got 12-year boys over there in Africa and Mexico too. Why wouldn't they do it here? You know what I mean? So it's a multitude of things over here in America. For one, we're not manning our homes with the things that we need. But not only that, for two, the treason that America does towards its own people with putting these guns on the street, these defective guns. Hey, we got to get this money some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And it's making it to the streets. And one of two things going to happen. Either the government is going to have to step in or we're going to have to step in.
Mm-hmm. Toya, I saw. I'm looking for it right now. I want to play it, but I saw a clip. It had to be a couple of years ago, where the guy, quote unquote, claimed, and I don't know the validity of it, but he claimed he was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, whatever it is, KKK, and he was like thanking black people. He was really thanking black people. And his whole thing was, he don't have to do anything anymore. He don't have to go out there and kill black people because we're killing ourselves. We're doing his job.
Right.
I mean, I was like, wow. And he had the cojones, I say cojones, to actually go out there and to put a video out like that. And I don't know the validity, whether he was actually a KKK, but for him to get up there and say that, is there any truth in what he was saying?
Yeah. It's a lot of truth. And what's funny, because it made me think about this quote that I heard last night. And this woman and this man was going around white man was going around abducting kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when they finally narrowed down to them, they said, well, we call ourselves waging a war against God because we know that the only thing we have to do is make you lose faith and you'll turn into a demon.
Mm.
And normally that's how it goes, right? We do things in this world that we know is true and we turn into a demon. And that's what we're doing, right? We're this is demonic activity here. Let's not try to act like we don't know this is demonic activity. We have to, and what is it that's going on? Another quote I heard last night, and I'm gonna wrap it up. The lady said she heard the Mormons speaking of a curse that was released on Black people. And her reasoning was that when God was issuing out duties, Jesus had a duty, the devil had a duty.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be on the fence. So since we wanted to be on the fence, that was a curse that came with us. So we had to be locked in these fleshful bodies until we chose how to do the right thing. And it was very interesting because I've been asking myself, what is really going on with my people? However, we have to keep in mind the multitude of influences that are geared towards Black people, not whites, not Latinos, not Indians, not other people. The influences that are geared towards us still have a huge part to play in the actions and responses that we make, and they know that is credible and it is medically and psychologically proven.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Rico, what do you say to that, man? I saw it. I'm searching right now trying to find it. It was about a year or so ago, or maybe even longer, that I saw this video. I'm searching YouTube trying to find it several other places too. But he said it was a KKK. He said he was thanking Black people because he don't have to go out there and kill anybody anymore because we're killing ourselves. Rico, did he have a point?
Yeah, it's funny to me. I heard this quote, man, at least 30 years ago with the crack epidemic in Bloods and Crips. And they sent the letter out to the Bloods and Crips and the gang members.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a ploy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm going to tell you how psychologically, off track we are. We don't believe it until they see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can look at it myself. I was saying it before I even heard that letter went around. I thought the letter was fake. I mean, I heard this years ago. I thought it was fake.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad it came out because it had expressed what I was saying. And I sat back and watched my own people, and I'm like, man, why is it that we act in order when they come around, but when they leave, we feel like, okay, now we ain't got to act civilized anymore.
Yeah.
Now we can act ignorant. Let's get stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show our ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, man, why is it that we do this? But going back to what the question you asked about the little boy. Now, how they handle him should really be based on his record. If he happens to be some child that this is his first time ever doing something like this because he's just trying to fit into the trend. Did he just want to fit into that atmosphere of being looked at as the type of person that's packing? Because right about now, the music tells you need to have these things, these essential tools, to be recognized as a certain type of person. If he never had a record, A and B student, A student, but he's going through some things. He's living in a neighborhood where he needs to prove his street credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And he happened to just mess around and shoot himself in the leg. He don't need the book thrown at him.
Yeah.
But he might be somebody that's an habitual offender. We done had problems with this young man numerous times already. Mm-hmm. Like the little 12-year-old boy that the mama said, well, I don't call the police and the city council to help me 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might be a different story then, because this boy here seems like he's trouble, and he want trouble, and he asking for trouble, And so, yeah, it's a different situation there, man. So, once again, a lot of times when we are asked to have these opinions about what should happen, we need a lot more information because, what I'm saying, the shoe don't fit everybody's foot.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Very true. Very true. And that should weigh in, and I hope they take that into account. What you just said, because a lot of times, sometimes they will. I guess it depends on the day. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Our LinkedIn user said, we got another caller. We're going to go to the call as well. Our LinkedIn user said, can we heed to obedience of our mothers and our fathers? And then followed up by saying this here: our fathers have denounced. I'm trying to read it. Our father have denounced our mothers, and now our sins are getting to the third and the fourth generations. They say I don't know who this is. And the phone lines are open 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. And this person here said, like I said, I don't know whether it's male or female, but they said that it's an ongoing thing. It's going from the third to the fourth generation. And if we don't do anything, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. Somebody wanted to say something just now.
Yeah, I want to say, man, sooner or later we have to wake up and realize that we are under a number of spells.
Yes.
That has us ignoring things that's right in plain sight sometimes, and it continues to happen in a cycle because they know not only we're not paying attention to it, but we're too distracted by other things that don't mean anything to recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking about these guns, and it reminds me of when crack first got popular. I saw so many drug dealers. I mean, it was almost normal to see somebody hustling. Somebody was doing some crack and somebody had some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was almost like it was a trend. It was popular. And we found out later that they owned and distributed this thing intentionally into our neighborhoods, the reason why we were so flooded with it, the reason why it was so easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
The money was no problem, but you know what I'm saying? You could get all the dope you wanted, then every now and then you have a drought.
Yeah.
And things, people would go crazy, and then he'd come and get flooded again. Crack heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, man, I said, it looked like it's working out the same thing again, the same way again, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
These guns are being over-manufactured, and they don't make them for them to not be used, just like they don't make bombs for them not to be used.
Yeah.
They make these guns for them to be used.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make them to sit on the shelf.
Exactly.
And they don't cost too much to make. So if you think about COINTELPRO and think about how they flooded our communities with crack, and then look at the guns today, if you don't pay attention to your history, that's why a lot of times when people say, well, I leave the past in the past, I just try to worry about the future. Well, you leave the past in the past, you're doomed to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're repeating is a psychological behavior, another way of destroying our community ourselves, another tactic.
Mm-hmm.
It was by drugs and now it's by guns, and it's flooded the same way, the exact same process. And we're not paying attention to it because we're not asking the right questions.
So basically, it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook, just a different product.
That's it.
Wow. And that's very true. That's very true. We got a few people that came in with us. Our Captain, good morning. And we got Mr. Hicks. He just came in as well. But Captain, good morning. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Good morning to the Morning Glow family.
Hey, good morning to you, sir. We are talking about there's a young boy on the news this morning, 14, 15 years old, in the mall. This time of the year, Christmas season, the malls are packed. And this young man had a gun, mistakenly fired the weapon, hit himself in the leg. Ambulance came, took him to the doctor, took care of him and everything. Now they're trying to determine whether they should press charges on him or what should happen. But my question is, first of all, why did he have a gun? Should they press the charges? And what should happen? How do we get to the point where, this is happening all the time? Cap, what's on your heart?
Well, I want to say this to my man Rico. Rico, he does a very great job in giving us a balanced view, the pros, the cons. And I think what he said, I'm in total agreement with him. There's no question that if you want gun sales to go up, produce the fear of lack of security. Make people feel unsafe. If you create the attitude or the narrative that is so unsafe, crime is on the rise, people are shooting and then robbing and pillaging. Well, do you think I want to protect me but a gun? So if I was a gun dealer, a gun manufacturer, and I'm in the business to sell guns. I'm not in the business of concerned about what people do when they get the gun. So all I have to do is talk about how unsafe it is. So the older people, man, these young people crazy. They robbing. Man, I got to get me a gun. I got to get me a gun. Young people, man, I can't even go to school without me having a gun. Everybody got a gun. Gun, 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 gun. Yes, they should charge that young man with open firing a firearm in a public place. Of course. He has no business with no gun, I'm sure. He did not have it legally. He has to be made an example out of to be a deterrent for these other young people. Well, how do you stop it? That's the question, brother Raheem. You're not going to be able to stop it. America is a gun culture. Guns as old as America herself. How you going to stop the gun culture of America when America was founded by the gun? So what we have to do, we have to be able to create an environment that is safe. If we were to build a certain area of town, and that town is bordered and patrolled by peacekeepers or black men on duty, and I'm gonna give a dog if it's nothing but a block, and everybody say, "Yo, man, you can't go over there, boy. Oh man, it's safe over there. Matter of fact, you can't even carry a gun. Why? Because you don't need one because the people are safe." You could do that. They did that in Brooklyn, New York. The Anwar community, it was the Muslims that was walking around there in that area, Bushwick, Brooklyn. They was patrolling that area. They didn't have a gun, Raheem. They had a sword. And nobody said nothing. But guess what? You didn't act a fool over there in Bushwick. The Muslims had it on lock. You didn't have to wear it. They were safe. So what is the solution? Create an environment of safety. Then the people don't need no gun. That's what I see it. That was on my heart, Raheem.
Mr. Higgs, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem family. Doing fine. Everybody's doing well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you think in this situation? What should happen? How should this thing play itself out? 14, 15 years old with a weapon, mistakenly fired the weapon inside the mall, crowded mall, hit himself in the leg. What should happen?
14, you should get some help, some mental help. It need to be some kind of avenue to not just punish and make examples because it don't work. You know, in general, there's some stuff going on. I heard an interesting thing. Somebody was talking about I believe they could fly.
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
Yes.
And it was saying when you hear his life story and his damage that he had we classify mental problems. But to lock him away and put him away rather than studying him and making it so that other folks that have this kind of mental that wrestle with these kind of things, right? They can go for help rather than knowing that they go for help and say, look, I'm a pedophile, I got problems. And you lock them up. And it don't solve the problem. I think with these problems happen, like especially in kids, you send a kid to jail real young, 14, depends on the kind of influence you have once you lock them up. You make him a better criminal. There's no programs put in place to address his personal problems. But yeah, sad situation.
Yeah.
Glad nobody got killed by accident.
Exactly. So you want to see what do you say to that, man? Lock them up. It's been said that one captain said lock him up, make an example of him. Mr. Hicks said that would not be a good idea to lock him up. But what do you say should happen?
Well, I don't think it's not about making an example. It's about you breaking a law.
Mm-hmm.
That's for one. You break the law, and you're going to get consequences for it. For two, these kids is going around committing some of these crimes. They're not scared for their life, and they're not going to get guns because we're scared to go to school. No, they're not. 9 times out of 10, these little ruffians are the problems. So they're not walking around here with guns because they're scared. They're walking around with guns to scare others. Keep in mind, I keep telling you, I was one of these ruffians. And I didn't walk with a gun because I was scared. I was ready to do something foolish and crazy because the devil had me possessed, period. But it was to scare other people, not anyone else. Now, when it comes to, you want to look at running tests on them and acknowledging them. No, go get some of them damn white folks that drive people out their houses and kill babies and experiment on them. Lock them up and run tests on them. Don't come get us and run tests on us because you've already been running tests on us and they know why we do what we do. Again, we keep running back, talking to it like it's something that black people are doing. Just, we're black and we're going to commit crimes. No, there's a multitude of different things that we talk about every single week on the Morning Glow on what influences us to do these things. And if it's an influence, it doesn't matter if you lock me up and done studies. Statistics and studies already tell us why we do things. When a black man is not in the household, it's going to be a problem. They tell us that when lead is in the water, it's going to cause mental problems. They tell us that the food causes ADHD. There's a multitude of influences they tell us about all the time. And what is locking us up somewhere, taking us through psychiatric evaluations and all that going to do? Nothing. America does not want to solve the problem. Because if they solve the problem, let's just look at how many multitude of revenues one black male is going to create. The police officer job, the hospital job, the probation job. That's 3 right there. And if we were to continue to list that, we are interrupting the economy once we start talking about, black men, you can't have guns. Let's find a way to make black men so angry. No, we're not. Toya. So until America decides to fix this problem.
Toya, one of our LinkedIn users said that stop committing these infractions. Say the solution to stop committing these infractions. What do you say to that?
Okay, so the infractions, here we are again, to be committed for a reason. So let's take it back, right? So when KKK people commit infractions, what do we do? Right? So we just said that this infraction was an accident, right?
Yes.
So again, because we're so hooked on talking about someone as a criminal, we're so hooked on just hearing the story, the punchline, we're not listening to the whole story. This was not an infraction. It was an accident. And what we're saying was because you got caught up, right, then you're going to pay the consequences. But again, what we have to look at as a whole, right, when you walk and see why your daughter or your son did something to someone, you don't just listen to the other side. You listen to what your daughter or your child say, even if it's out of order. So we can't come with a simple, don't commit the infraction. It won't happen because everything's not perfect like the person that made that LinkedIn comment.
Wow.
There are, again, a multitude of different things that we go through out here in the world outside of your own that you don't understand, that you don't comprehend. That's still, okay, again, this is not what I'm saying. Clinically, they have this written in statistics that the multiple influences causes people to do this. So that's why you can't just sit back and say, don't cause the infraction. Because when you have the proof and the studies show the multitude of things, including not having a father, you can't say, just don't commit the infraction.
Wow. Enrico, and I don't know whether this is male or female. I wish they would call in on LinkedIn, but they said, I want you to respond to this part. They said it's not about America. It's about raising our children and monitoring their friendships. What do you say to that?
It's all of the above. You know, people want to just try to put it in one box and say, this is what the one problem is. This is numerous. It's availability, it's access, it's neglect, it's non-supervision. You know, it's the imagery, influence, entertainment. You know, it's the sensibility of the brain, fragility of the brain, influence unconsciously and subconsciously, dopamine, adrenaline. It's all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
So just dismiss and try to say one thing ain't the problem. This is what it is. That's what the problem is. All of the above. And we want to just try to address one issue. See, there's numerous ways to solve this problem. But if you get to the root of it, if you really want to solve it, you say, well, okay, let's find a way to make the standard of having a gun be a responsible reason.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what I'm saying is, if people get guns for the right reason and the right reason only, and you can sort of unconsciously promote that you only need these for certain reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get it for this reason, I mean, you know, then you shouldn't have one. And sooner or later, you can make that happen. Once again, I always say this about prosecuting parents. Now, sometimes you might have a child that slipped through and they get the, you know, gun and the parent don't know about it. And this is that child's first, you know, incident. Well, you know, you have a law in place that you have to hold them accountable to. If that child happens to be a habitual offender and a problem child, and then they have parents that don't seem to be responsible enough to keep them in order, then you start prosecuting parents. Sooner or later, you'll create a culture of parents, of people making sure they don't have children until they are ready to be responsible for what their children do.
Mm-hmm.
If they know they're going to be held accountable. If you're going to get prosecuted for the crimes of your child up until the time that your child turns 21, then I guarantee you that you take more time in giving them more positive influence and positive reinforcement. You're going to say, no, I don't want them watching these type of movies because I don't want them running around here thinking they need to be shooting guns like that. I don't want them running around here thinking that they John Wick. I don't want them running around here thinking that they're NBA YoungBoy. Sooner or later, parents will start limiting and monitoring what their children are listening to, because they're going to know. Because most of the time, we as parents always ask, and even when children, our parents ask, where you get that from?
Yeah.
Certain things we started doing or that they saw us doing, where you get that from? They know we picked it up from an outside source, and they couldn't monitor that source. And we know in this day and time, parents really don't have the quality time to monitor their children or supervise the children the way our grandparents were able to, or our great-great-grandparents were able to monitor their children. You know, so I mean, like, even the slaves had the children on their hip when they were picking cotton. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They still knew somebody wasn't exposing their children to something, or they wouldn't be in it. So I mean, now the children have too much idle time to be exposed to whatever they are exposed to on the internet, whatever entertains them. So if you
Rico, let me say this to you.
Responsible.
Rico, let me say this to you, man, because what are you saying? And I love what you're saying right now. I really do. But what do you say to the parent that say, man, I don't, you know, you saying all these things, man, that I need to do, and I need to monitor, I need to be this and be that. But I have to, man, I got to work. I work 2 full-time jobs, man, to make sure that my child is taken care of, to make sure that there's a roof over his head and food on the table, clothes on his back. Man, I got to go to work. What do you say to that person? Because go ahead.
That person will have to sit down and balance out and see if they are actually spending their money consciously. I mean, because you got to wait. You got to. It's like a sacrifice has to be made. Now, if I can go out and work 2 or 3 jobs to make 6 figures, but then I have to risk my child being vulnerable and doing adult things because I ain't around, I'm trying to make this hustle, then I might have to just go and settle for 5 figures.
Yeah.
I might need to just deal and settle for 80,000, and we have to humble our material standards just so I can be a proper parent to my child in this environment, in this day and age.
Absolutely.
You see, sometimes we want the big houses and the big cars when really we could downsize. But we don't want to conserve. We want to consume. We want to be extravagant. And for us to have the finer things in life, our children are being sacrificed. You know, we do have to give up this quality time because we want to make more and provide them with the material things and the access to those things. And along with giving them the access to those material things, they have access to a whole lot of other stuff that we can't monitor or prevent them from. And we know this. We were children once before.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
We know what we got away with under our parents' nose. And we, you know, when they weren't around, we know what they did. So, it's more, it's more important for us to be able to say, well, okay, I can't make these same mistakes. I know now that these children can do a lot of things. If we're not supervising them, they'll have access to a lot of things and get influenced by a lot of things that we don't know anything about. Before you know it, I'm a grandmama. I'm a granddaddy.
Exactly.
So, if you hold these parents accountable, and over time, generation after generation, parents will put more of an emphasis on raising their children in a positive way, so they won't have to worry about their children running out here wanting to be gangbangers. The children probably be more wanting to be doctors and lawyers.
And let me go to Cap. We got a couple other people that's joined us, and people still coming in. So, Cap, let me go to you with this right here. And this is, I wish the person on LinkedIn would tell us exactly whether they're male or female, what part of the country they're calling from, or even call in. The number is 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Again, 508-924-3521. They're doing a lot of, they're posting a lot, and I appreciate the post that they're putting, but they can certainly call in. But Cap, they said black market guns are in our community to trap, the same as drugs that move through China, then through Texas and into the South for black men and women to sell, including fentanyl. Stop. What do you say to that, Cap?
Now, you said somebody posted that?
Yeah, somebody on one of people that's on LinkedIn listening to us or watching the broadcast on LinkedIn.
Read it back to me again.
Okay. It says black market guns are in our community to trap, the same as drugs that move through China, then through Texas and into the South for black men and women to sell, including fentanyl. Then it says stop.
Man, there's no one size fit all. There's an old saying, y'all heard this before. If was a fifth, we all be drunk. If we had both parents, if we did it, if was a fifth, we would all be drunk. Yes, we can give every scenario. But the reality is, this is the reality. The single parenting home today, the percentage of African Americans or blacks and browns is disproportionate to the single parenting home of whites. And that single parent is a female. That's the reality. I didn't make those figures up. That's a reality. Now, the question is, yes, there are people who got the gun, like Sister T said, who want to terrorize people. There's no question. Young boys got a gun because the gun gives them power, and they love to be able to see people cow down because look at that dude, and he pulls back his shirt. You see that there, baby? You see that? Oh, yes. There's people like this, Sister T. You absolutely right. But there are young boys out there that's causing problems, talking smack. They're on social media, threatening, talking smack to somebody else. So they got to carry a gun because it ain't safe for them because somebody gonna get at them for talking smack on social media. You see that with the rappers. So on both sides, we're all in agreement. But at the same time, again, it's a gun culture. You're not going to be able to solve this problem because it's being able to have, not only do they have access, but the illegal guns that's in the hood is unbelievable. Everybody got a gun. Now, I told you many times on this show, we in the Nation of Islam do not carry weapons. We do not have guns. We don't have guns in our home. All the members of the Nation of Islam, the only brothers that got guns or sisters got guns in the home in the Nation of Islam, they are in law enforcement. I don't have a gun in my house. I don't carry a gun. I have walked and secured Minister Farrakhan for 40 years around the world, and we never carried a gun and not had one incident. Because why? When you got a gun mentality. I lived over in the UK for a year. Those officers, they call them bubbies. They don't carry guns. They have guns, though. There's a unit that rolls around. But the guy that's walking the beat, he ain't got no gun. But you can't beat him with people skills.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to show respect when he talks is unbelievable. No, you can have a society, but this is society believes you need guns. And as sad as it may be, ain't no one size fit all. We can't sit here and talk about, yes, they are targeting. There's young men, they're able to go out here and get the gun. They're selling guns. You know the highway. Brother Rico pretty much could tell you what is the highway that they sell most of the guns on. There's a lot of guns. Where they come from? And guess what? They talking about trying to change the law. They want to go to Congress. Congress want to deal with the daggone gun companies and the gun manufacturers. Stop these, what you call these assault weapons. That ain't the gun of choice in the hood. The gun of choice is the weapon is the gun is the 9mm, the Glock. That's the gun of choice. You don't see these brothers walking around here with no AKs, and most of the shootings ain't got nothing to do with no assault weapons. And then they're able to make these ghost guns. They're not making ghost AK-47s.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really understand the dynamics of what we're dealing with. But let's not become so judgmental that we can't see both parts of the spectrum. I can see what Sister T talking about. I can see what Brother Rico talking about. I can see what even the person that's want to say what they want to say. But the bottom line is, we're dealing with a reality you're going to have to address.
Mm-hmm.
This will not be solved in no one generation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be solved 10 years from now, 50 years from now. Oh, how you solve it? I just gave you. Create an environment where nobody needs guns. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we got to get into. Like I said, people that carry guns got a gun mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I run up on Captain Dennis. I don't carry a gun, but you can run up on me if you want to.
Good deal.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Good morning to you.
Good morning. I know some of y'all know how I feel about guns. Guns are for the weak minded. Some of the stuff the LinkedIn users saying the drugs come from all over. It ain't just through Texas. They come through Florida, California, anywhere there's boats or any kind of border. Wouldn't surprise me if some's coming from Canada. No, it's our education system, our political system are the things that need to be fixed because they're broken. Both of those things are broken right now. We got politicians, that make a yearly income of, anywhere from 500,000 all the way up to, a couple million. I find that quite interesting that our politicians are making all that and they ain't got to pay taxes. But we're going to, tax everybody else. There's a lot of things that's leading into these issues and these problems. Trying to get the parents to be more responsible, sure. But not every single person can get a job making, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 a year. And depending on where you live, you're going to need more than that just for one person. If you're by yourself, that's different. But if you got kids, you're going to start needing more than that.
Okay. Now, Badger, we're talking about the young man that was had the weapon here in Atlanta, and he 14, 15 years old. and he shot himself in the leg. And the ambulance came, took him to jail. Well, not took him to jail, took him to the ambulance came, took him to the hospital, and they're trying to determine whether they're going to charge him or not with the crime because he had a weapon.
Wait, charge? They're gonna charge him for shooting himself?
For having a weapon at 14 or 15 years old, dislodging a weapon in a community, in a place,
Public play.
public place. Yeah, thank you. In a public place, and they're trying to determine whether they're going to charge him with that because he dislodged that vehicle, mistakenly dislodged that vehicle in a public place, and because of that reason, they're trying to determine whether they're going to charge him or not. I ain't gonna say incarcerate or charge him or not.
I kind of want to go up and hit the prosecutor. Just knock some sense into him.
And why is that?
Where in the world did that 14-year-old kid get their hands on a gun?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. But are we going to ignore the fact that he did have the gun and he did dislodge the weapon in a public place? Are we going to disregard that part?
Man, see, that's the tough part because I'm gonna say no
Mhm.
because that's something that shouldn't have happened. Yet at the same time, if you didn't have access to it, and don't get me wrong, I know about ghost guns and all that stuff. So it's one of those things of it's unfortunate that he was able to get access to it. And then he shoots his leg, which ends up being fired out in public and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or in an area that he shouldn't. I can't get my brain past the kid shoots himself, and then they're still talking about charging this child. And has anything been said about them going to track the gun to its owner, or if it's possible, or like where the gun came from, or any of that yet? Because I don't know about the story.
They're looking into it, trying to find out all that different things. But where they are right now, they're trying to determine whether or not they're going to charge him.
Hey, Raheem.
Yeah.
I think we need to have an understanding that once this boy gets charged, depending on his record and his history, there may be a range of sentences that he could have. I mean, he could still have it on his file but get probation.
Exactly.
He's just been charged and convicted with it.
Mhm.
Or if he's a habitual offender and has had problems with guns and violence and gangs before, then he may have to go sit down and do some time because this may be his third, fourth, or 12th.
Yeah.
So I mean, once again,
with
we always have to realize that there's a unique situation to every situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the reason why they give you maximum and minimum sentences.
Mm-hmm.
He could end up with probation, but still have that charge hanging over his head, and he'll be blessed to say, "Well, I take it."
Yeah. Exactly. Badger.
No, I was trying to get my words together, but Rico pretty much was led into where I was going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this was a very first time, like he was talked into it or something, like, hey, or if he was just curious and he found it in his house and grabbed it and did it, and he's typically a good kid, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still kind of weird about the whole kid in jail thing.
Okay.
The lack of mental health is all I'm going to say.
Wow. Okay. Good deal. Toussaint, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
All right.
What's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Should he be charged? How should this thing play itself out?
So let me just throw this out here. If he's a kid, 14, he gets in the car with no license, or if he got a permit and he runs over somebody, what's going to happen to him?
Oh, he's going to jail.
Okay, same thing. It has nothing to do with him shooting himself. That gun went off in public. The danger of it, you can harm somebody. Let's put everything about what you think aside, and that's what's gonna happen. Now, I ain't gotta be right, but from his own accord, he had that gun.
Yeah.
He did. Whether his mama knew it or not. See, kids don't listen. They don't believe until it happens. And the courts know that. And they have over and over and over and over again.
Hey,
We
Toussaint,
call it using them. Yes, sir.
does it make any difference that maybe he does not have any priors?
No, well, that depends on that is going to depend on what they charge him with, what the penalty of it will be, whether he gonna get little time probation or whatever. That's gonna determine that. But he gonna get something, I promise you that, regardless. Because here's what I was gonna say. Over and over again, we trying to say that they using him for an example. No, sir. No. This happens all the time. This is a common thing of life. And it's getting younger and younger. And the courts have gotten to the point, it's just me. Maybe it's just me that got to the point that I'm tired of hearing about it. So you know that there's a penalty for crime. We all know it. Your parents should have told you. If they didn't tell you, you have conversations with your friends. You get in a fight at school. They come get you. You know why I know that? They can't get my grandson. Joe did. You know, let me say this, and I'm sorry to put him out there like that, but so be it. That's my grandson. He can't tell me what to do. He's sitting up there smiling with handcuffs on him, grinning with handcuffs.
Wow.
Because his friend was in a fight, and he decided to get in it. So you know what? There's a penalty for that. He got to do it.
Yeah.
He ain't got to go to jail because he don't have no priors. But they did come get him. They did bring him to jail. And then the courts decided what his penalty will be. And he got to do it. He got to go to counseling. His mama got to go to counseling. He got to do a certain time. And he can't say, well, I ain't going to do that. I wish he would. I'm going to visit him once a month because they're going to come get him. Just by that one incident. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have to be right.
Yeah.
But there's a penalty. What we might not see as a crime, it is a crime. And there's a penalty for it, whether we like it or not. And because it continues to happen in every community, we just put spotlights on certain communities. But every time somebody does something, you're going to have to answer for it.
Wow. And that's where I think that's where we are right now. Somebody have to answer for it. Somebody got to answer for this whole situation. Somebody got to be held accountable for what happened. Somebody have to. Even good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Hey, walaikum assalam.
I just like to mention Dusty Pittman Hughes died at 84. And one of those unsung heroes that we know little about because some of us hadn't been in the movement for a long time. She was a female activist, and she started the battered women's thing in Harlem. And Gloria Steinem did a salute in 1971 about Black Power salute. You know, where people were at, what their thinking was.
Ibrahim, Ibrahim, though we do appreciate that, brother. Well, we got a topic we're talking about, brother. What do you think about the topic we're talking about?
Well, as I always say, you know, we have to, community is involved. Community also be involved and help, you know, help our community survive. It's no individual thing. One thing affects another. Some of the things I heard mentioned has been talked about done over and over again. And the only way the community has to embrace and take care of themselves and educate themselves and work to help each other. That's the only way things get done. When I was young, how things got done correctly. We know as far as drugs and guns, that's nothing new to the Black community down south. We always had guns, but in the 70s, cocaine, you know, ruled, and everybody started shooting everybody, and everybody selling cocaine and moving cocaine. Whites, black, Hispanics, everybody. 80s, 90s, crack. And then we came with a bright idea. Clinton came with a bright idea to lock people up on crack. A gram of crack, get you 100 years. A couple of kilos of cocaine, get you 4, maybe 5. You know what I mean? Maybe nothing. As a lot of people have said, and Black activists said over the last 100-some years, the inequality of justice is designed. Now, he should be, the alternative, he should be counseled. He should be helped out and his record expunged and given a chance to redeem himself. If you don't, hey, then law applies. Law, as I always said, there's law and color law. Law are intrinsic, they can be changed, they can be manipulated, they can be used in any form or fashion anybody wants to use. And to germinate the problem, we have a problem with the adults that perpetrate violence and beg and eradication of things, and then they don't want a certain type of way you do it. And who you do it with is more important to people than anything else. I'm not an advocate of guns, nor am I opposed to guns. And I will defend myself any way possible. If I have a gun on me, I will end it. I ain't got time to be sitting around fighting and playing with nobody. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't have no macho thing, but I think I'm gonna sit up there. I have fought in my life and fought to the death, you know, with my hands. But you know, if I got a gun, I ain't gonna waste my time. Mm-hmm. And I do like weapons, and I will use them. And that's why I don't carry one a lot, or I don't shoot anybody. I found out that people will threaten you with whatever power they got because of their situation and any kind of incident, and people will allow them to do that. So I don't hold no. And I've heard people talk about inciting violence of different types of what they would do in a situation. So I think we can't cast no aspersion, cast stone in the well, or cast stone at the harlot. Mm-hmm. You know, because we're all guilty to the same sins one way or another. Okay. But it's an educated community, working together community, and fostering, nurturing our community to protect themselves and survive.
Good deal, good deal. Let me play this clip, and this clip I think this clip is I Stand With You Again. I Stand With You challenge. I'm gonna play this again because the person said that, you know, we need to come together, and men need to come together and go out there and do something about what's happening in and around our communities. So let me play this clip real quickly. And this is what we're attempting to do.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? My name is Raheem Osmond. A lot of you might know me. A lot of you may recognize me from DKM Media Group and Associates. The Morning Glow, every day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 10. Real Men Being Men every Tuesday from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to come to you and talk to you about something just a little different right now. I want to challenge you. Our men. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to, they've had all kinds of challenges. They've had the water climbing over things, jump over the moon challenges, eat the hot chip challenge. None of that is going to do anything to help or improve our community. So I want to come to you and I want to challenge you in different ways. I want to put out there I stand with you challenge. I stand with you challenge. And what this challenge is, I want you to go out into your community or communities, go to your schools, and pick one young man, maybe somebody that's struggling, that's going through situations, whatever it is. But I want you to pick one student, one young man, young guy, elementary, middle, or even high school. And I want you to become his personal mentor. I want you to pour into him what we may have missed ourselves. I want you to pour into that young man. Elementary, middle, or high school. I prefer you to get an elementary school or middle school, but if you want to get somebody in high school, that's fine. But I want you to come to me, and I want you to write in this feed right here, I stand with you. And you is that young man. I don't want you to go out there with no ulterior motives in mind. This is not a dating thing when you go out there and try to get with his mom. No, none of that, brothers. None of that. I want you to go in there and make a difference in this young person's life. I want each and every one of you to sign on. Take this challenge. Sign on. We talk, and we talk. I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to get 2 or 3 that I don't know. I go to the school. I know people that's in education. I know people that's very close to me that's in education. I go to the school and ask them, what trouble students do you have here? Send them to me. I talk to their parents, do everything, do all the proper paperwork and everything that we need to do. Send them to me. Let me take them to the movies. Let me take them to the bar. Let me take them fishing. Let me sit down and have a conversation with them. Young man, what's going on with you? They tell me you're acting up in school. What's going on? Why are you acting up in school? What's really going on? Let's talk. And I got to tell you, it's not going to start off when they're going to open up to you because they don't know you like that. But if you be consistent, with this thing, you'll open up and you'll make a difference in this young person's life. I stand with you challenge. Are you with me? If so, write your name, send DKM Media Group 1 at gmail.com. DKM Media Group 1, number 1 at gmail.com. Reach out to me and let me know I stand with you. Go out there, get a young man. Pour something into these young people, man. They need us. Fellas, men, they need us. Stand up. All the other challenges, either hot chip challenge, what they gonna do for anybody? Climb over these crates, people get falling, killing themselves, getting hurt and all that. What is that gonna do? I stand with you challenge. That's the challenge that's gonna make a difference. Are you with me? I stand with you challenge. Send DKM Media Group number 1, DKM Media Group 1 at gmail.com. Just send me a message. Meet me on Facebook. Meet me on one of the shows, whatever. Let me know that you stand with me. Go out there, let's make a difference. Today is the day. Today is the day. Let's do it, man. We can do this. We can do this. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. Love y'all. Let's make a difference.
Toya with the T, talk to me, sis. Toya?
That's what's necessary. That's what we got to do. Now, Abraham said that we got to come together because the influences, right? The spells. The only thing that's going to break the spells is the love.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing we keep looking over. Oh, well, what can we do? What can we do? Love heals, love restores, and love can break up all these little spells we're in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that, we try to put a cookie cutter thing on evil, and evil will never go nowhere.
Come on.
Evil will always use whoever, however, whatever, whenever to wage a war against God, like the comment I said earlier. As long as you don't believe, don't know, not sure, unsure of, whenever bad things happen, that's just exactly, again, what the devil needs to break somebody's faith and say, see, it ain't no God. And the moment that you think that it ain't no God, you're going to turn into a demon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And everything we're talking about is demonic activity.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be mindful. It doesn't have to be your kid, right? We're like, oh, what happened? Where did this come from? Wicked has always been here.
Yeah.
And it's just changing its face and its form and its fashion as time goes on. There's nothing you can do, but you need to stop right where you are. Whether it's a kid, whether it's your kid, somebody else's kid, we got to take a minute and show some love and respect. We're not having that out here. We're not even doing. We're missing a lot of intricate things that's allowing the devil to get into us and possess us and want us to murder somebody, knowing that we really don't want to do that. So it's hard to come up with a solution on what should be done. But as a person who, the guy beat me, right? And I beat him with a bat and went right on to jail because I broke the law.
Exactly.
Was I defending myself? Yes. But still, even if you're defending yourself, there are still laws we have to abide by. For this young man, it's not about making an example. It's about if you go out there and you do something, then you're going to have to go ahead and face the law. You're going to have to go ahead and do the crime for the time, whether it was a mistake, whether you didn't know, whether it was an accident, whether you got caught up, whether you was an accessory, it doesn't matter. But again, in order to get this under control for your child and mine, and I ain't got none, we must stand up and correct them and catch them and see it. This thing that this boy done, somebody made a comment early on, like, nobody saw it. Yes, we do. We know who got the guns, and don't do nothing, because the ones that know who got the guns, you're scared of them. We know where to get guns from. I don't know. Maybe some of us get old and forget. I'm still out here on these streets, and I know where, how, when, what, and who you can get everything from. Do I entertain that? No. But I still make sure that I talk to people right where they are. And when I get around young people, if I even get a hint, a wink, or smell that they're about to go into the other direction, I'm going to let them know, not on my watch. And that's what every adult needs to start doing. Letting these people know around you, not on my watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Toussaint, talk to me, brother. Rico, coming to you next.
Oh, you came back around pretty quick, but I tell you, you got it. I mean, if you see a child or somebody that is heading in a direction that, look, I've been there, done that. You see them, boy, this ain't gonna work out good for you. I mean, here's a suggestion, because you can't do nothing but suggest to people. Their parents will get mad with you. I don't care. Let me just tell you how this is gonna work out.
Yeah.
Because I've been. Most of us have been there and know how the streets operate, and know, I'm like Cat and others. I've had a gun. Gun change your mind about something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm talking about, you go ahead. I got my gun with me. And since I got my gun with me, then don't pull out a gun if you ain't going to use it.
Is that, yeah.
Because that'll get you. You mean even tell me you got a gun and you're not willing to use it, you going to get yourself killed.
Quickly.
Yeah. So, the mindset changes, and really, the worst thing about it is having one and don't know that you can kill yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Have it in your pocket, cocked and loaded, with the safety off.
Reach in your pocket.
How you shoot yourself.
Reach in your pocket and bow. Go to gun.
There you go. Now, whether you're young or old, they're gonna charge you. Yeah, they're gonna charge you because you're in, and now you put other folks at risk because you didn't know what you was carrying. A weapon is used for an act of violence, whether it's protecting or defending or just going after somebody. That's why they call it a weapon. Just saying. I mean,
Wow.
So, but if you see a young man, a young lady, and then doing something that will get them into a situation that they don't, the results, because there's results of every action. You might want to think that thing over.
Yeah, exactly. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Man, you know, like I said, man, it's a spell that we're under, man. You know, first let me say this. This is the situation we find ourselves in because we definitely need penalties. And hopefully if that young man that went into that mall and shot himself in the leg, hopefully he has parents. They can come to his defense and they're upstanding and they can say, you know what, man, he just got caught up in the trend. He was trying to fit in and be cool. He looking at these kids on these video with these guns. Then on top of it, he knows that they'll come to this mall and shoot it up too. So now he has a desire. So you have to find a way to kill that desire for that gun.
Yep.
But then I say he had gone up in there and shot somebody else. Then he would have had another charge. Whether it was accidentally or not, he still shot somebody else. That would have been another penalty.
Absolutely.
So now we say, well, he should suffer the consequences. And the judge, the parents might come in and say, well, Your Honor, our child is an A student. They do this in the honor society. They volunteer for this and that. They just had a brain for it. We want to throw him on the mercy of the court. The judge may say, well, you know what, young man, I don't think this is something that you're familiar with or you'll normally do. I'll give you probation. Now, had he shot somebody, it probably wouldn't have been that easy. But he still probably would have got the minimum of that penalty. So once again, like I said, it depends on his history, you know, on the severity of the penalty. Or just, you know, if it would have been just a minor, but still he had to suffer some type of consequence.
Yeah.
But now, say for instance, you have another child that would have done that, and they didn't have parents or a public defender or an attorney that could ask them or talk to that judge in the right way. Now they got you. You caught up in the trap. That's what LinkedIn said earlier about that trap. Now you caught up in the trap of the judicial system. And even though you don't deserve it, you made a mistake. You got to wear this same jacket that everybody else wears that's out here being super predators. Because now the police going to look at you different. It's on your record. You don't know how to get it off because, you know, you're just trying to figure this thing out on your own. You don't have those type of parents. But you're still trying to do the best for you and you're trying to make it and survive. And it might get to a point where it's a necessity for you to carry a gun because in your community, making straight A's and talking proper is lame and you are now a target. You're called what they call a free pick, easy. But then you got to understand that's a cultural thing. In Japan, they have 127 million people and they might have 10 gun deaths a year.
Yep.
So now we're asking this question. Because there isn't a desire for guns. Even though they do have gun control laws, you can have access to them if you do certain things, and it's still a limited amount of guns. Now, they do have guns that get there illegally, but people still don't have a desire for them. So you have to ask yourself, what in this culture, what culture creates a desire for guns? What culture creates a desire for you, not just children, but black people on video dance with a gun and you see a female dance with it and all of a sudden it go off and she shoot the driver in the head. I don't know if y'all remember that video from a few years ago. Or the videos that I see now lately, a lot of them. Children dancing, flexing guns, talking imaginary beef. And they fire it off and then you hear their mom in the background. You got a gun in my house. Rifles, pistols.
Yep.
They don't know how to handle them, but it's an image, it's a culture that they embraced. It's an image that they want to portray, and they want to be a part of that culture. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we stop this desire for guns? Because we know what guns do, and we know what message is being displayed when you see people dancing with them and pointing them. They're letting you know, yeah, look at this. I got something that'll end your life. That's pretty much what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're celebrating this thing in their hand.
Absolutely.
They could take somebody out of this existence. Dancing with kissing it. I done seen women put it in their mouth and act like they were doing oral sex with it.
Wow.
Playing with it like it's something to play with their culture. When you take something like that and desire it as something to glorify, long after love, and not really respect what it really does. So the government had to step in, for one, and accept accountability for the fact that they are allowing this culture to exist. And then we have to start holding people accountable that promote this culture, that glorifies this image where you can just haphazardly shoot people in the head because you're playing with guns, because you don't respect how dangerous they are, how responsible you should be, because there's a lot of irresponsibility being promoted with these songs and with these movies. You know, people shooting with accuracy like John Wick and stuff, you know, that excitement and sensationalism. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with the psychological impacts that comes with that adrenaline, that comes with the excitement, that you have people just like, oh man, I love this movie. You see all that shooting? So I mean, you know, there's a lot of accountability that got to be passed around for the people that promote that culture, because there's really a culture and a standard thing. And if it gets to a point where you only want guns for the right reason, or you really understand that guns are only necessary in certain situations, and you don't desire to have one, then the culture will change. And that, like Cap said earlier, that's going to probably take a few generations for that culture to kick in, where it's unacceptable to look at something like that as something so easy and just something to play with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got another caller. We got a caller from the 678 area code. 678 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Cassandra Green, calling from Atlanta.
Good morning, Cassandra. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, we're talking about, and you probably heard the story on the news this morning. The young 14, 15-year-old boy was in the mall here in Atlanta and had a gun, mistakenly fired the weapon, and it hit him in the leg, hit himself in the leg. Ambulance came, took him, and now they're trying to determine whether they're going to press charges on him. Should they press charges, Cassandra, or where are we?
Yes. Yes.
Where are we right now with all the young folks?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, we have to do something, and that's what laws are for. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not even saying send him to jail, but he needs to face some type of repercussion for his actions, because suppose he had gone in there and somebody made him mad, because these kids today, they kill people for stepping on a shoe, looking at him crazy. You know what I'm saying? So he needs to. Why do you have? Is it licensed? I mean, why does a 14-year-old have a gun in the mall? Anywhere, anywhere. Did his parents know that he was carrying a gun around? I mean, I just, you know, I know we don't. In a lot of ways, we don't trust the judicial system. But why do we have laws if we don't want them followed? I don't get it. And the people that we put in office are the ones that, you know, help develop the laws. So why do we have, he needs to know that this is not acceptable, and he needs to receive some type of punishment through the judicial system. I don't care if they put him on probation, give him what do you call it, community service. You know, I'd make him work with somebody that is in a wheelchair because of gun violence or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have to teach lessons. I'm just saying.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Mr. Hicks, are you with us? Mr. Hicks, you there? I think Mr. Hicks has stepped away for a second. Badger, talk to me, brother.
No, picking up where Cassandra left off. I mean, the laws are here for a reason. And it's, I mean, shoot, I even posted something earlier about a new law that they're trying to implement in some places right now. We're just talking about offering drug dealers specifically the chance to get to become sterile, to get time taken off of their sentence. It's, I think a lot of us have pretty much covered the spectrum of, you know, the incident with the kid. and it's unfortunate. You know, it happened in the mall. You know, I don't know if they've said if he's got a background or not, or it just boils down to the fact of there are some parents that would rather have their kids carry guns nowadays because they don't feel safe. You got school shootings have gone up. There's just all kinds of things have gone up as far as crimes go. And then you start adding in stress and inflation and everything else. It's a powder keg,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an unfortunate thing. Like, I don't know what else more we can say about this. The lack of education, the lack of, you know, some, be it, you know, the single family homes and things of that nature. Don't need to go into this back and forth. It's that person's fault. He said, she said. The male should be trying to help take care of the mom. In those rare situations that me and Rico are in, we have to do the best we can to use the laws.
Mm-hmm.
But there we go again. There are situations where the male's a piece of crap, and there are situations where the mother are control freaks.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a spectrum in everything we bring up. Not one situation fits all. That's why the laws are there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather guns never existed. I'm on one part of the spectrum when it comes to guns. And then you have the people that are, you know, all about guns, and they go out to a shooting range and they're very respectful with them. They're very responsible with them, and so on and so on. Then you got everyone in between.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And there is a wide spectrum right there. There's a absolute wide spectrum. But what do we do? How do we get to a place? How do we get to a place whereas we don't have to worry about this situation? And honestly speaking, I don't think we do, and I don't think we can get to that particular place because there's so much going on. There's so much going on.
Just to throw this in the answer, or at least from my opinion, we got to deal with our politicians, and we got to get a better education system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I want to switch up. Anybody have anything else they want to say on this topic before we move to another one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that back in the day when you remember when kids did drive at 11 and kids did use shotguns at 11. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think education, it's not about the system. I think just educating children, period, on gun violence will help a significant amount. Just them knowing how to handle it, knowing how to clean it, knowing how to, all those things, all of those is training.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to focus on American values, as twisted as America is. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying we got to do what everybody else do, but I'm just saying, if they in Africa can put a gun in the hands of a 12-year-old boy who they went and killed the whole family, and they know how to handle a gun, then trust me, we can come to some kind of something to make sure that even if it may be out of, oh, you're too young to know about guns. Oh, yeah, but they dying.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't do nothing else. We need to prepare them. If they're doing it at 14, they need classes. If they're having babies, they need classes. If it's guns, they need classes. If it's drugs, they need to be educated on it, and that may play a huge part in driving those numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Good deal. Anybody else have anything you want to say before we switch up? We're gonna talk about this for just a few minutes. I don't know how long we're gonna talk about it. But I want to make this aware. I want to make everybody aware of what season we're in right now. Cassandra, coming back to you, Cassandra. This season between Thanksgiving season all the way up until right after the New Year, it's a real high season of suicide. And we really have to take time, and we really have to pay attention to the people that's around us, and pay very close attention, because you never know who's going through something. Because this thing called depression is real. It's real. And so, Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned that. I was at an event last night, and it was for helping people coming out of prison. And one of the young ladies was saying that the program that I was there supporting, one of the young ladies was saying that she met a woman, a young girl. I mean, I think she was like 20, 21 in prison, in prison. She was in prison for 2-3 years and got out, and had told her about this program that my friend has. And she got involved in the program, but the girl was so depressed because she could not beat her drug habit. She was battling, and she killed herself.
Wow.
I mean, just recently she killed herself because she wrote out a letter saying that she did not want to be a drug addict, and she was going into programs and everything and fighting, and she just felt like she couldn't do it because she kept going back to it. And that causes people have no idea. You know, they just get. I hate when people say just get over it. When if you want to do it, you can do it. You don't know what a person's struggle is. You don't know what their past is. You don't know. You don't know how they've suffered. You know, and some people, when people commit suicide, that's a hope. That means they had no hope. No hope. That's what that means. They saw no way that things would get better. Even though we know, those of us that have been there or work with people, we know that there is help, and it will get better. But if you, in your mind, you think it won't, that's why people are committing suicide.
Yeah. Wow. And sad as it is, that's absolutely true. Rico, what's on your heart, man? This thing called depression is real, especially on this season right here. On your heart, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's you know, that's a real human thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Depression, it comes from so many different ways, so many different forms, from so many different things. You know, it's really hard to understand when somebody is depressed, you know, but at the same time you have to be careful of how you interact with people. You know, sometimes people hide it real good. You know, that's when it's real dangerous, when, you know, people are hiding it, and you look at them and you say to yourself, well, man, they ain't got no words. Every time I turn around, they successful, they happy, they always doing something and smiling. But then you don't know really and truly, they just putting an act on, putting on a facade, you know. I'm one of those type of people. You know, there's plenty of people, they never really will understand deep down inside what's been going on for years and years and years. But, you know, I put on a good act, I put on a good face to, you know, try to maintain and keep going. But man, you know, for those that feel like, you know, it's that easy just to say get over it or move on to the next, man, you know, I'm gonna tell you, if you ain't never had to go through some of these things that other people went through, and you don't really know how to counsel them properly, just leave it alone. Stay away, because you can actually push somebody into doing it by showing a lack of concern.
Wow. That's good. Tucson, talk to me, brother. This thing called depression, man, especially during this season, absolutely real.
Yeah, it's real. And that's why, you know, I know people celebrate holidays and they get excited around this time, but things happen more so. I don't know if it really does. It seems like it's more deaths. We create our own financial burden. I say that because we won't pay the electric bill, but we'll make sure that they have something under the Christmas tree. Light the whole house up till it brightens up the whole neighborhood. Have that tree up. We have Thanksgiving turkey and ham and bacon and all, well, not bacon, but you know, with the greens and all of that. Boy, we eat it up. We did good. But then we don't realize sometimes that the struggle that we do for the rest of the 10 months continues to go on.
Yes, sir.
And you're spending what you need for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, not everybody, because some people go through struggles every day. And it doesn't come clear till the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I mean, because you're looking at what other folks do, this commercialism that's created that you've got to buy somebody. But let me tell Morning Glow something right now. Cassandra?
Yes, sir.
I want to tell you that I'm going to double up on what I got you last year.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. No. Wow.
Ain't that
Boy,
nice?
thank you so much.
Ain't that nice?
Two of them.
Multiply it.
Ain't that something? Look, that's so
Nothing
nice.
time, nothing is nothing.
Okay.
So see, 'cause you know what I'm saying is we depress ourselves because we can't get that present for somebody, and we know we can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you get the present and then they come get your car, you shoot your whole family.
Wow.
You kill your kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's how sad it is. I know that's extreme, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so depressing that not only do they commit suicide, they take everybody out.
Yeah. Exactly. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We definitely love to have your input on what we're talking about today. And right now we're talking about depression and how suicide is very high during this season right now that we're in. And so we really have to take time and look around and pay attention to the people that's close to us, and even the people that's not. If you see somebody that you think may be going through something, you might want to just, either you go up yourself or send somebody over there to talk to that person to make sure that they're okay. Because not everybody that appear to be okay is okay. People put great fronts up sometimes. They put great fronts up and make you think that they're okay, but in reality, they're really not. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, I was hoping you were coming to me next. There's a really good example of it. One of the most famous comedians, Robin Williams.
Yes.
The person that made everybody laugh
Mm-hmm.
was dealing with so much, and people, my understanding at least, looking into it, had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the person that's smiling the most, like seems like everything's always okay, can be some of the most depressed people there is. This is coming from someone that dealt with it for many, many years and still deals with it from off and on. Depression is really difficult. You can fake it till you make it all day long, but that depression is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know, kind of like what Cassandra was saying, the stress of having to survive in this economy, the strive to do the best that you can. You got to be careful how you talk to people and treat people. And we shouldn't be doing this just once a year. This should be a everyday 24/7, 365, or I think I said that wrong. Sorry, this topic hits home to me all too well.
Mm-hmm.
It's It's wild, you know. I want to be a little transparent, if that's all right.
Go ahead, brother.
You know, I spent 5 years trying all kinds of ways to end my life, and didn't have anyone that showed any care or concern.
Wow.
What none of it ever worked. Even a fully loaded gun didn't work or didn't go off. And a lot of people have no idea how much depression I deal with, because I'm always this cheerful person that just, you know, is always uplifting and things like that. Yet on the flip side, I have a lot of turmoil inside. And I'm using myself as an example because there are a ton of people that approach things the same way I did. I do. We are completely unnoticeable. People have no idea unless we say something. I haven't had a suicidal thought in a year.
That's good.
It's only been a year. But before that, it was a few times a month.
Wow.
And so it's this topic ain't a joke. And the only reason I'm still here is because I got tired of trying and failing. Because everything I tried didn't work. I was one of the lucky ones. So make sure you're always doing your best to help each other, because you never honestly know if that's something that person's dealing with or not.
Exactly. Wow. And see, that's deep, because that's just a testimony of what we're talking about right now. You know, you never know. A lot of times you never know. And unless you take time and pay attention or approach that person, they're not going to just come and tell you. They're not going to just come up to you and tap you on the shoulder and say, I'm hurting today. Help me. Captain, talk to me. Talking about depression and this season.
Well, Raheem, I really would like to pass the mic. I cannot come behind what Badger said, a very personable testimony. And I think he, you know, I mean, is a man who telling us. If you want to talk about it, got an example in Badger. So I'd like to pass the mic, and I'm just reflecting on what Badger said. That's all.
Absolutely. Toy, you want to talk to me, sis?
Oh yeah, Badger said a mouthful. Make it 4 years for me of being delivered. Baby, I was chasing death so hard, honey. If I couldn't kill myself, let me kill somebody, because I was scared I wasn't going to die. I was scared if I tried one more time, I was going to come back crunched up like an accordion, worse than what I was than when I tried to kill myself. So I had to get a stop on that. So I just became very destructive. Just started chasing death. Anything I can do. So it's definitely understanding. But I also have learned, since I have been delivered these last 4 years, that suicide is a spirit. When you feel unloved, when you feel unwanted, when you've been abused, when you've had all these other sins, remember what I said earlier, the devil only wages war against you so he can turn you into a demon. You have all this stuff casted upon you, and you feel like don't nobody care. It's real easy for you to slip into depression. But let me tell you something else about suicidal folks. We do tell people I want to die. We be on the phone crying. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it today. I want to die. I don't want to live. Why am I still here? And people still don't do nothing.
Yeah. Sad
don't
but
do
true.
nothing. You know how I know? Because I've been through it. 20 years. I was suicidal. I remember a lot of phone calls with family members. But I also remember there was a God in the back of my head. One night, I pull up to my house, Raheem, no lie, like, you know what, Lord, listen, I've been battling this a long time. I don't have no kids. I don't have no husband. This is a better time than any to get me up out of here. But if there's a reason for me to stay, then I'll stay. And my niece will call. You know, something significant will happen to remind me that it's bigger than you. So, okay, you know, I'll stay. But it didn't take until the real interaction was God for me to let go of being abused by your uncle. Because you should not be abused by your uncle. You should be able to trust your uncle. You shouldn't be mad that you couldn't tell your daddy because you didn't want your daddy to kill his brother and he go to jail. See, all of that stuff started building up, and then once I started to forgive myself, once I started to surrender it and give it to God, there came the deliverance. Because I had to let it go. I couldn't carry all that. And plus be myself. So of course, when it comes to suicide, it's not just the holiday season, it's every day. Every day you wake up, and sometimes for some people, it's every waking moment. Depending on where it comes from, like the last conversation. Everybody handles everything differently. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, is that people do know, and people do see the signs, just like abuse. And sometimes people do nothing. But I'm here to tell anybody that may be experiencing anything with suicidal and depression, and you can't call and get nobody on the phone. When everybody is too busy and they don't understand what's going on, you need to go back to your maker. You need to call on God. Either you call on him or he's going to break you down to where you're going to surrender. But I promise you, and I can only tell you from my experience, if you really give it to him and you really allow him to take it, you will be delivered. And I haven't thought about killing myself in about 4 years now. I've been delivered.
That's good.
So much to the point to where everything, I don't even feel like killing other people too. I'm like, you know what, Lord, don't even bother them, Lord. Don't even worry about it. So please, if you're feeling depressed and you're feeling suicidal, please understand that God can do something about that for you.
Exactly. Cassandra? Cassandra, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You know, I wanted to, when we talk about, you were specifically talking about the season. When you talk about the seasons, there is actually a name for that, mental health name for that. It's seasonal affective disorder. And it's like, okay, during the Christmas holiday, people start to have memories of, you know, maybe losing someone during the year. And last year that person was with you. And women, like if you've been like, this is what I say to myself, oh, this year I'm gonna not be by myself for Christmas. You know, I'm gonna have my boyfriend or my husband. And every year during this time, I think about that. Oh, dang, you ain't dating yet, you know. And now you got 23 years under your belt with no dating. And so I think about that because I'm a person that I love love. I love being in love. I love, you know, I mean, I love relationships, you know. And when I think about that, I was like, you're 63. Getting older. I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of things go with people being depressed during certain seasons. But there is a condition and a name for it. And can I just read off some of the symptoms of knowing that you're dealing with seasonal depression?
Absolutely.
Okay. Feeling depressed most of the day during that season or nearly every day. Losing interest in activities you once enjoyed. Experiencing changes in your appetite or weight, having trouble sleeping, feeling sluggish or agitated, having low energy, feeling hopeless or worthless, having difficulty concentrating. I have experienced all of those things during different times of my life. And it's real. All I can say to anybody, don't ever take that, and Badger gave a great example. It's a known fact that comedians are some of the most depressed people you've ever met. They deal with depression more than most people, and their career, they're making other people laugh, is their way of actually coping with their depression.
Exactly.
It's a known fact. But it's a known fact.
I saw another clip. I think it was Cole, D Cole. He was talking about how, I think it was him. I hope I'm not putting it out there wrong, but he was talking about how he on stage and he said, "I want to have a moment with you all." He said, "Please, I'm not trying to get no sympathy and all these things," but he said, I'm up here making y'all laugh, and I appreciate each and all y'all coming out, but I lost my mother a year ago today. He said he lost his mother a year ago to the day he was on the stage actually performing. And he said it was tough for him. He said he wanted to come up there because being a comedian, that's what they do. I know Cheryl Underwood, she said the same story about how she got up on the stage and she had to go through the whole situation. Laugh a Lot, somebody that we all know here, he told a story about how he had to go up on the stage. I think he had lost his mother and he had to go up on the stage and perform. So, it's serious, y'all. It's very serious, man, because you never know what a person is going through. Them comedians, man, they get paid to make us laugh. But what about this? What about them? What about what happens inside of them, man? They go through stuff too. And so we have to be very mindful. Just because a person is smiling does not mean they're not going through something. Who that said a smile is just a frown turned upside down? One of them old school songs, man. So you got to understand, man, they could be smiling all day long, but it's still hurting inside. It happens. It happens. Curtis, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, what up, man? What up? What's going on with y'all?
Well, we're talking this morning. We're talking right now about depression and how suicide is real, especially during this season, Curtis. You've been a counselor like Cassandra. What do you say to that, man? Depression during this time of year and suicide during this time of year.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's the worst time of the year. The worst time of the year. You gotta be hyper vigilant. This time of the year, you always have to have a greater level of empathy and sympathy for people. Because there's a lot of people put a lot of stress on themselves, not being able to do the end of the year and looking at your failures instead of your successes. There's a lot of things going on. And with all of the new, sicknesses and things like that, man, this year might be the first year somebody's not sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
The realization of the moment has hit somebody, and there was never no closure with the departed family or friend. So this year, particularly this year, there might be some heightened levels of depression and anxieties.
Yeah.
Because we are in the fallout of I forget what they call it now. I think it's a triple-demic or something like that.
Triple-demic, yeah.
But we're in the fall.
Yeah.
So we're going to see heightened levels of grief and loss, heightened levels of animosity, families feuding and fighting, disappointment, people thinking that, this thing is over and mom or daddy now check out from the remnants of having COVID. You know what I mean? So you just got to keep your eyes open when people start giving away like precious items, items that not have given away, or people
start calling you, and when they calling you, like they never ever call you. They never ever call you. And then all of a sudden they start calling you, and they start, the conversation is super personal. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta pay attention, man, and have some care and concern. One of the things I see in what we got going on in this modern era right here is, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. The human race has made it cool to have no empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It has made it okay to have no sympathy. It's now cool to demean and push people aside.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's a lot, brother. It's a lot. It's absolutely. It's a lot.
That's all. People.
Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. Captain Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Man, we're talking about depression and how the suicide rate is extremely high during this season, man. Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holiday season, if you will. What's on your heart behind that, brother? Talk to me.
Well, it's a repetitive type of thing that you can't just wake up one day and believe that you're not gonna have no issues.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in counseling for depression and things of that nature, it's always looking forward. And that's what I try to tell. I just went to a memorial service yesterday. Had another aunt buried the other day. So, I've noticed many of the elders are gone. And it's very difficult. It's one of the roughest times. I'm not a big holiday person at all. So it lives in me daily. It doesn't happen during the season, but daily. Usually a person is dealing with something on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
and it just so happens that a holiday comes around. Some of us have tragic memories related to the holiday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I would encourage people to realize that is behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to go forward, that's what you should always focus on. You're going to focus on this is their first Christmas without their mother or their father or what have you. And it was very difficult. A lot of my friends are posting those difficulties right now during the holiday and how they're just getting into, going to different functions where that, like Miss Cassandra or my man Curtis was saying, where that person used to sit, or the dish they used to bring, or the jokes they used to tell, all those things. But in our family, we think of those good things about that person.
Mm-hmm.
We don't focus on negative things. We don't allow negative behavior to come into the atmosphere, because that's why we want you here, is to lift your spirits, not continue or make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel a need for some reason at this point in time to lash out at someone, refrain. Don't allow the negativity to take control. Don't give it any more priority than it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, one thing I've learned is you have to be intent on having a good time.
Yeah.
It has to be intentional. It's not going to just happen or what happen. You have to, like, when I get up, say, you know what? I am not going to be depressed today. I am not going to do this today. I am not going to get involved in this, or even like triggers, for instance. I'm not even going near them triggers today.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day I work on it. It's a challenge. I've been in counseling over, I think, since 2007. Regular counseling. just to make sure I'm balanced, so I don't give in to that dark place. So I would tell people, yeah, it's going to want you to come there, but do everything you can to go towards the light as opposed to that dark place.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Toussaint? Toussaint, wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep. Hey, Leonard.
Yes, sir. Oh, wow. I'm glad the good bishop is on today.
Good deal. Good deal. Bishop, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm wonderful, brother. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Doing good.
How's everybody gonna be?
Hey, doing good. Doing good. We're talking about depression and how suicide is very high during this season, during this part of the year. What do you say to that, brother?
Well, I've been listening to the show, and man, everybody has had some wonderful, wonderful remarks as relate. And yeah, during this time of season, you know, a lot of people start reflecting the fact that they've lost a loved one, and they get into a depressed state of mind. And then, you know, I think Cassandra hit it up when she talked about the young lady that had a drug problem, couldn't get over it, couldn't get past it. Then she felt like, I don't want to be addicted to drugs, so I killed herself. So I think we classify it as mental illness, some form of mental illness, not saying that they are crazy, but that's how they have started to classify depression as a form of mental illness. And with all respect, and I can co-sign on it because it is. And you find yourself so depressed and don't see any hope in anything that you decide that you want to kill yourself. But for me, that is not an option. It's not a way out. But there are so many different groups out here, so many different organizations that can help men and women that are dealing with any form of depression or any form of mental illness. It is an unfortunate situation, but I've gravitated to the fact that life is life. We didn't come to stay here always. And we're going to lose someone, especially someone that's so near and dear. And this year, 4 years ago, in fact, December the 8th, it was the same day that my mother passed. And so I found myself reflecting on my mom, and I'm missing my mother and things of that nature. But what I do, I take the loss and start remembering all the wonderful things that she did during her time on this earth living with me. So that sort of moves that out of the way. Yes, the hurt of her being gone is depressing, but the reflections of her life and what she is what I lean toward. And then that depression or the depressed thought, starts to leave. And so this is a great topic. And of course, I don't get a chance to call in too often, but when I do, most times I'm listening. But when I do, man, I really applaud, your co-host, all of them, man, and their wonderful remarks and comments. I think it's beautiful. And just keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, address these. We got to attack these issues and not be afraid to confront them. The boldness that Leonard has when he speaks up and speaks out about it, the level of, positive information that Rico brings, or Badger, or Kay, or, Cassandra, Toussaint, all of them. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Because
yes,
it helps us to become better at being able to cope with life. So, I appreciate, your show, brother. I appreciate it.
To God be the glory, brother. To God be the glory. Appreciate you, and definitely appreciate you saying that. Let me go back to Toussaint. Toussaint, what's on your heart? Depression.
Yeah, man. We was the family that made arrangements to gather together on Christmas, maybe about 11 years ago. And my daughter was the dispatch for police department in a little town called Opelousas, Louisiana. We're excited about getting together because we like to get together during the holidays because we family. We don't fall out. We can disagree, but we don't fall out. And mom, dad, and everybody was coming and this way, and we decided we're gonna have a good time. 4 o'clock in the morning, my daughter called me crying. And I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on. and she says, "It's granddaddy."
Mm.
Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Christmas Eve. The most wonderful time of the year.
Mm.
So, you know, it's easy to, and I don't know about, I don't know how some people handle things, but I'm just using this for an example of how it's possible. You know, every year, Christmas Eve at 4:00. Every year,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Eve, 4:00. I could just get down in the dumps.
Yeah.
Because I used to have somebody to talk to. See, it took till I got grown for my dad to become friends, because I was a man, he was a man. We'd watch the fights together. We were, you know, matter of fact, when he got sick, I quit my job. I went to see about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Made good money. Went from making good money to making $625, but I went to see about my dad.
Yes, sir.
And we became friends. But on I think it might have been December 24th, 2011. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But so I'm not. I don't say that I'm depressed, but I grieve in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy. But then what I say is, you find you a place to kind of secure your mind.
Yeah.
And I don't esteem one day above another. It's just like March 15th. I just picked a date because March 15th and December 24th is the same.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'm not gonna get you nothing on March 15th, and I'm not gonna get you anything on December 24th. Because I'm not gonna go. It's not that big of a thing. Sure enough, I believe, and I'm thankful it's not actually December the 25th that Christ was born. You know, I know that. I got enough sense to know that. We celebrate it because that's the pinpointed day that we celebrate it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go broke.
Mm-hmm.
Behind one day, the devil is a lie. That don't make no sense. But some people do.
Yes, sir.
What we have to do is change our mindset.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal.
Heart,
and let me say good morning, because I see my mom. She's on this morning. Good morning, Mama. Love you, baby. Love you. Want to do my shout out to my mom. Got to do that shout out. There's a lot going on with this particular topic right here. There's a lot going on with this topic, man. And we're going to get into, and what you just said about December the 25th. We're going to, at some point this week, probably even on Wednesday, we're going to have a conversation based on that as well. But right now, I want to stick with where we are. Let me go to Rico. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
To me, depression is like the pressure of the demands of life on the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about accepting, what it does to the spirit, this time of year when we think about loved ones on their birthdays or whatever, or when their anniversaries come around that they died, and you all of a sudden you feel funny this week for some reason, and then all of a sudden it comes to you, dang, this is when so and so died. This is the reason why I was feeling funny.
Yeah.
You go through those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have to understand that the demands of life, man, that pressure.
Yes, sir.
Some people are depressed because they can't get their children those things.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, here we go, another Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could do is get my children a pair of tennis shoes. I don't know what I'm going to do about getting my kids this Christmas. This one want a PS5. This one some children just want the basic thing.
Mm-hmm.
They happen to get some soap, deodorant, and drawers, toothbrushes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's depression. You got depression from the parents. Some that don't care, they find a way to distract themselves, or to, you know, they'll find a vice to overlook that depression that they're going through. But then the children still have to deal with it when they go outside to play, or they go around other children. And what you get for Christmas, I ain't getting that this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's depression on its own levels, you know what I'm saying? But that, once again, that is a man-made thing, you know, that we have to celebrate Christmas or celebrate different things by observing it by having material items that we possess.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to flood our children, you know what I'm saying? We want to see, we look on Facebook and we see people take pictures of the Christmas tree with everything up under the tree, and you like, man, them children ain't gonna even play with all that stuff.
Yep.
But sometimes that the parents do that because it makes them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting over some of the stuff from their childhood, so they overcompensate. Ooh, my child ain't gonna never have to want for that. I'm gonna get them everything they want. Now you getting them everything you wanted. But once again, you know what you got to do to get out there to make that money. You know, we sort of going back to the 12-year-old and this and that, and the little boy getting shot in the leg. You know, that mother was very depressed every night that she couldn't control her 12-year-old son. She done made a bunch of decisions, and, you know, maybe in a situation where she chose the wrong man to have children. Well, who knows how that happened, but she's depressed to the point, depressed and anxious, going through anxiety because she don't know what's going to happen to her child. But now she know what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to prevent that, probably going through a lot of pressure, trying to get some help to save her son before the consequence came. Before what happened, what she predicted would happen did happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of depression. So, I mean, you know, I would say that it's concentrated around this season. If it is concentrated around this season, it may be more because of the people that's depressed because of the things that they couldn't get, or that they're not able to enjoy what Christmas has turned out to be. I saw people that were depressed because they couldn't have the big meals on Thanksgiving that they normally have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's more important than having the people around. They just want to be able to say, hey, I cooked, want to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's a demand on life from man-made requirements or culture standards that some of us actually we're going through depression trying to keep up with what man tells you life is made of. You know, and so it's like an internal battle between survival and happiness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, what you got to make a choice to survive or be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm pretty sure most parents would sacrifice having to go and make all this money just to be able to be at home with their children at least 8 hours out the day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I mean, you know, that pressure to survive and that pressure to be happy, and the demands of life that requires you to do this and that to be able to survive and be happy, man, it's causing people to say, you know what, I'm done. I want out.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, since you've been talking, I've seen one person post and said that they were trying to handle this holiday season because their father died, and this has been the first worst year.
Wow.
Then another one of my friends said, F it. I'm tired of this life. I'm ready to be done with it.
Mm.
As we were speaking, I just read both of these posts.
Wow.
Two people going through depression.
See, and
that's the demands of life on the spirit.
Rico, you get a chance, you reach out to him if you get a chance to, brother. Reach out to him, man, because you never know. You may have something in you, man, that's gonna help them make it through this moment. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. We got to be there for each other, man. We have to. Kurt, what's on your heart? Cassandra coming to you next.
Well, it ain't too much, man. I mean, you try your best to deal in the realm of reality. You know what I mean? That's what helps me. My father died the day after Christmas.
Mm.
And you know, there was things about him that we just never saw eye to eye. Just like there was things about me that we just never saw eye to eye. But you know, the simple fact is that we might not have saw eye to eye, but we tasted tooth to tooth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, Something that I've noticed over the last probably 4 or 5 years is there, from a mental health perspective, there's a group of people who actually don't realize that they enjoy existing in a place of chaos and drama. There's a group of people that in some ways you can say that they're addicted to the chaos, the foolishness, the drama. They're everything about their existence. Like, you ever met somebody that when you have a conversation with them, or everything is woe is me, or when they look at others through the lens of what this person going to do to them, or you know what I mean? Like they look at the negative all the time. You have people who do that, and they enjoy being in that space, right? And sometimes we'll connect ourselves to them, to those type of people. When those type of people, they enjoy that space. They enjoy the chaos. It's like, I don't know. It's like, the brain, release certain endorphins when the stress levels are high or whatever. It's like people who are constantly angry and they can't tell you why. And like they enjoy the adrenaline that's released from that type of stuff, or they only see life through the lens of a reality show.
Come on.
You know what I mean? So, you just got to be careful, especially during this season, what you connect your spirit to, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just got to be careful. I mean, when I think about the loss of my moms and my dad, as much as I would love for them to be here right now, I tend to drift more to the side of the positive things that happen, the things that happen that made me laugh, the things that happen that made me have joyous tears. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I really don't know what to say. I just know that folks just need to know that, man, God is with you, God is for you, and He will always protect you. You just got to be willing to, let Him have it. Like, look, man, you got that. Ain't nothing I can control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's good. Cassandra, Cap, come to you next.
Yeah, I wanted to direct this to those of us online that are leaders, or that people come to us for counsel or whatever, comfort. We have to take care of ourselves, because the pressure, and I didn't realize this until way into my counseling, which I've been doing over 30 years. People will pull at you, and you're giving hope to people on a daily basis, some of us. But guess what? When we're doing that, something is going out of us, out of our spirit. And this is how we know. Because when Jesus was walking through the space, and all of these people were all around him, and he had been healing people and doing miracles all over the place. And somebody touched him.
Yes.
And he said, "Who touched me?" And the disciples are like, "What are you talking about? You see all these people around. We can't take." He knew that virtue had gone out of him. And as leaders, we need to know that virtue, every time we're giving out of our spirit to people. That's Toya when she's dealing with the young people. It pulls something out of you. I have ministered to people sometimes, especially people that are really going through. And after I minister to them, I feel so weak because guess what? I gave from my spirit, not just words. I gave from my spirit, and I was asking God to impart into them the strength to keep moving. So we have a self-care is important when we're in leadership. People depend on us. So just remember that we have to do self-care.
Absolutely. Captain?
And this subject is depressing. I done went into deep depression over this subject now.
Come
I
on
was
now.
feeling good. Now y'all got to counsel me. You know, dear brother, you know, this is supposed to be just a season to be jolly.
Yes, sir.
You know as well as I know, we in the nation, we do not practice Christmas. And I know you want to say subject for Wednesday, and I can't wait to get to Wednesday to talk about that. But this is commercialized this time of the year so much that when you turn on the television or you go to social media, it always displays the happy part. And it looks like everybody has the perfect tree. Everybody's getting the perfect gift. And then when you take a look at your own reality, you're just trying to pay your rent, let alone you got no money to buy gifts, and then you're trying to compete with what kind of gift to buy. They have made it seem that the greater the gift displays the greater love that you have. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wow.
When I was a Christian, Christmas was not a great time for me. When we were young, all I remember is always there was a fight between my mother and father during Christmas. One particular Christmas, my father and mother got to a fight and fell into the Christmas tree. It was that time where it wasn't a great time. We did have toys, but trying to take care of 12 of your children, and you didn't have nothing but a limited income. It was depressing. One year, we didn't get nothing but a whole box of fruit, and that was it. This time of year has a lot of bad memories. I heard brother talk about his father departed on Christmas Eve, or another one said on the day after Christmas. And I hear us not talking about the great parts of this holiday, but what we go through as a struggle to try to live up to. I think that's why we have to keep our minds into true reality. It makes me think today after I get off this line, my true reality is God.
Yes, sir.
That's my true reality. And I try to keep my hand drenched, dipped in that reality.
Yes, sir.
Because when Brother Dennis is depressed, as much as I cheer a lot of people, and I consider myself a motivational speaker, who is there to motivate Brother Dennis? But God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To my family, every one of you, I wish you peace.
Absolutely.
I wish peace with yourself, and I wish you peace with God. And if I could give a gift to every one of you on this line,
yes, sir,
I would you the gift of peace.
Mm-hmm.
I would wrap it up in a magic bowl and tell every one of you, how do you want your gift delivered to you?
Mm-hmm.
To God be the glory. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go to Paul. Paul just called in with us. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. It's a real dark topic, and the weather here is dark. It matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've suffered with depression in the past, and, just for long periods of time, and for years, and really hard. So I think I relate to what people are saying. I guess like I can find things that I agree with everyone. I think what Dennis said there about getting to reality, and his reality is being with God, and I relate to that. Although we probably have a different conception of God. To me, it's this feeling of being connected to everyone and everything, and realizing, just a human being, just a humble human being. But that's hard to get to when you have a lot of worries and stuff, and that's why people get depressed. As people said, you're looking at social media and people have all better stuff than you and better lives and all that, or the basic things aren't there. Basic economic needs aren't there. And then, like Cassandra said, those of us who work in like fields where we give, counselors, teachers, nurses, ministers, it's draining. It is very draining because we deal with people who have a lot of problems, and we have it's not just words. You are giving your heart, and that's very hard, but we have to do it because no one else is doing it. So I guess my thing is just trying to reach out to people as much as possible, and try not to add any burden to anyone else's life.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Badger?
I want to give thanks to all of us and everyone listening for still being here, to be able to serve and share their story. Sharing a personal story is serving.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at who it can help. You can be surprised at how it can uplift somebody, realizing that maybe they don't have it so bad, or that they're not alone. I thank y'all for still being here.
Praise
I
God.
appreciate every single human being here. Everything I have learned isn't just from books and things like that, but it's from amazing human beings. Even the homeless person I had the privilege of talking with, from the bottom to the top. I've talked to millionaires, I've talked to politicians, I've talked to homeless, I've talked to people all over the world. And one of the craziest things I've learned is there are those of us that have worked very hard to work through our personal issues, and there are those that are still learning. You are no better and no less than any of us. It's all a matter of awareness.
Exactly.
So never, ever think you're worthless. You're worth something to someone, even if they're not currently in your life right now. You can meet someone in the next 30 seconds. And then that split second of just saying hi to somebody, you can save somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
So
good.
I really hope everyone understands that I really am thankful that they're still here and living is much more than you could ever realize.
That's good. That's good, Badger. That's good. Let's go to we got a couple other people we're gonna touch before we get out of here. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Leonard?
Oh, hey, I just came back, but man, it's
I hope that people understand that choose what you want for that day, for a day, any day, every day. Every single day is just as important as the last day or the next day. And I'm not one for designating days to be miserable. And so I think that's one thing that has helped me the whole time is the very simple fact is that you have to see yourself in a better place in order to get there. You have to commit to that. If you know that any type of behavioral issue is causing you stress or keeps you in fear, anxiety, and anger, you have to go against that grain. You have to, like, say, for instance, instead of worried about how all the bad things that happen, pick something new to do. Say, for instance, you send somebody a Christmas card and say, do something. Start something new instead of rehearsing something old. And make it what you want to make it. Like, say, many of us do toys for tots and all these types of things. And I used to tell, a lot of folks at different meetings they would come to, it's not because I just feel so great all the time and I don't have any problems or whatever, but I choose to set that aside to focus on doing something positive. The more positive things I do, the less pressure and the less power the negative things have on me. So it's the practice of wanting to feel better that makes it possible. It ain't magic. Just like Ms. Cassandra would mention and things of that nature and all the things that she does. And we have different people here who reach out. Do something extra. If you're suffering with some depression or what have you, go out of, if you've never given somebody on the side of a road or anybody some money, give them some money.
Yeah.
You ain't even got to know them. Sometimes older people are sitting at nursing homes right now and no one ever comes to visit them.
Exactly.
Never.
Exactly.
But you could start doing that. Start doing something positive on the on those days and those times that cause you the most stress and anxiety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's good. Cassandra?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has said pretty much what I feel about, all of this. We have to, and I'm going to tell you something, believe it or not, when you're doing good, that is like a coping mechanism for me. It's a way for me to handle, the pain that I'm in every day, right? And try not to take medications. If I take my mind off of me and what I'm going through, then it helps me. When I'm helping people, I can't even explain it. But when I'm helping people, I can be in the worst pain, having the worst pain day, and I feel good. I'm like, okay, keep on holding on, keep on doing what you're doing. Because first of all, I love people, and then it helps me. It really does. So, thanks everybody on the line for doing what you do. And for those that don't yet understand what it is to be depressed, thank God for it. Because I know it firsthand.
Exactly. Wow. That's good. That's good. And it's not good that you know depression, but it's good that you acknowledge and let people know what they need to do. I actually put the hotline on here. I want to see do I still have it. And just in case somebody need to call somebody, if you need to call somebody, I put the suicide hotline on the screen right there. Make a call. And if you don't want to call the suicide hotline, call us. Call us. Give us a call. We love to have a conversation with you. We love to talk to you. You don't have to do that. I can't tell you that we have all the answers and we know exactly the right thing to say, but we will say what's on our hearts. You are important. Like Badger said, you're important to somebody. There's somebody out there that looks up to you, that admire you, that needs you. Love that person. But more than that, please find a love for yourself. find the love for yourself, because it is there. Tucson, talk to me, brother, before we get out of here.
You know, this was healthy, and then at the same time, I think about how it is ignored, because we have a society that wants something out of people. They can't give, and because people can't give, it causes them to be more depressed. I don't know what else to say, man. Just I want to thank you, man, because out of all that I heard, the gratitude, just for how it is, whatever it is, to find a place to be thankful. Even Thanksgiving, see?
Yeah.
Think that's something?
Mm-hmm.
That you're thankful, this in spite of a day. Don't waste your time on a day. Esteem one day above another. Think more of a day than you do another. That causes issues that you don't need. But like you said right here, I love me.
Yeah.
In spite of 24th of December, what made a difference is when my parents, when I was growing up, they took care of me. When it was my time, I did everything that I possibly could to try to do the same thing for them. You cannot never call me an infidel.
That's good. That's good. Man, it's time for us to get on out of here for today. Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, sir?
If you missed today's show and would like to hear or see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal.
And man, somebody got to let me know what Willa at, man. I don't know what's going on. I thought I was waiting, but she ain't call in, man. Did she hit you up?
Yeah, she did. She got, as a matter of fact, Cassandra hung up on me. Okay. No, you still there. Cassandra, I'm gonna let you pray us out today, and I need you to add I need you to add Willa in your prayer, because her husband's having surgery, and she reached out to him and said he's having surgery. She said I'll make sure that we pray for the husband, and Navy, she's actually going through something right now as well. So she didn't tell me specifically what it was, but she's going through something right now, and she wasn't able to be with us today. So want to add her into the prayer as well. So Cassandra, if you don't mind, pray us out and add those in, and anybody else that may need something, pray us out, sis. Cassandra?
I'm here.
Okay.
Father, we just thank you right now for your goodness and your mercy. First of all, God, we'd like to say that if we have done anything knowingly or unknowingly, God, against your kingdom or against your people, we ask you to forgive us right now. God, you know what we all stand in need of. God, you know our hearts, you know our minds, but most of all, you know our spirit, God. I thank you right now that whatever Willa is experiencing with her loved ones about the surgery, God, right now we send your ministering angels to encamp all around her family. And God, the same thing for Navy, God. We ask you to bless them. We ask you to strengthen them. We ask you to give us, God, what we need for this journey, this daily journey that we walk with you. I thank you for every member of the team of DKM Media, and I ask you to bless us, to show us what you would have us to do in this season that would glorify you, but that would also be a blessing to someone else. Thank you for Raheem. Thank you for all that he has been doing all of these years to bring awareness to your people. These and all other blessings we ask in the precious and mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. We are about to get out of here for today. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. But more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It's now 10:07. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. That we shine some of this light on you from the morning glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please, please be blessed. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow. God say the same. Have a great day. And love each other. Just show a little bit of love. You never know how far that might go, or what that could do for the next person.
Goodbye.
For the next individual. Love you all. Have a great day. Doom, 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 doom.